So welcome to another video and podcast in our series of Gyms Advice on the Gyms Network, where we want to try and provide you with as much valuable content as possible with some of our really successful franchisors, franchisees and divisionals. So with me today is Paul Commerford, who is the owner of the Gyms Building Inspections Division and also the Hazardous Material Removal Division. Now both of these divisions are doing really well. I think Building Inspections is up to around 140 franchisees, making it probably one of the largest building inspection franchises in the world, and Hazardous Material Removal is up to around 20 franchisees now. It's still relatively in its early phase, but that's doing really well. So thanks for doing this, Paul, and welcome along. And I'll start with our first question, which we always give to everyone, which is, what is Jim like?
Jim, yeah, he's a good man. He's a honest fella. He's always pretty fair. Sometimes some of the decisions that come my way, or especially in the early days of, God damn, why does he do that, or why is he doing that? And then kind of like 3 or 4 or 6 months later, I sort of understand why he made that decision or why he did it, and it always turns out to be the right decision.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard when you're in the war zone or the thick of things, in franchisee, franchisor, or decision making at the helm of the division, and then Jim sort of stepping in and saying, "No, go in this direction." It sometimes, at the time, seems very controversial, or why? What's the reasoning behind that? But it does most of the time. I must say, it comes out in a neutral or in my favour, or so he looks after us in a weird way.
So for those watching or listening to this, so we have a divisional meeting which is every quarter, and it's basically for divisional franchisors to bring stuff on behalf and try and make some changes maybe. So I know building inspections, I know yourself are really involved in that process.
Yeah.
So maybe is that because you're getting your franchisors pushing you to maybe change something, or is that something you want to try and change within the gym system, or how does that generally come about? Because you were very involved in that process.
Divisional meetings. I suppose the franchisor group, there's 16 franchisors who are very active, and we all work together as a team as much as possible. But when we get together as a group, we try and do it a couple of times a year. We've got some good operators in there, and I think it drives the business with good quality people sort of giving their opinions. Sometimes it's hard not to take it personally, but when you look at it, you really need to look at it in a business context all the time, because it is a business that's growing, and we're making waves all the time. So I need to put up those questions and get them answered or aired with the other divisionals. It's really good getting the other divisionals' point of view on different things, but we proactively do our own in-house marketing team, which it's not really a profit-making centre, but it's always drives from there, I suppose, because we get leads and also leads for franchise inquiries.
Yep. So
there's there's a lot of motion goes behind that. It does drive from the franchisors and also from myself and my team around me. It's imperative that we keep in tune to the gyms group and all the other divisionals, what they're doing and what they're up to.
That's really good. So let's now take a step back. So what did you do actually before starting up the Gyms Building Inspections Division? What were you doing prior?
Yes, I was, prior to that, I was a builder, just a licensed builder in Victoria.
Yep.
I got into pest control through a company called Bayer Environmental Science. They kept bugging me to install some termite barriers for them.
Yep.
There was a termite barrier at the time called cordon termite barrier. So I was building, and one of the guys who worked there just kept trying to ask me to go into this commercial. I said, mate, I'm not really interested, I'm a builder, I don't want to get into pest control stuff, or termite. But eventually I worked out that the pre-con side of pest control is just purely planning and quoting off plans. So being able to read plans and understand construction was a really big in for me, having that building background. So that's how I got into pest control. So I started doing cordon termite barrier. Then I eventually started up a business called Termite Solutions Victoria. Didn't know what cockroach sort of looked like, or a rodent or anything. But I eventually learnt and did some courses, and I got some good technicians on board that helped me as well. But I concentrated on the pre-con or pre-construction when you're building a new house, protecting them for termite management systems. And when Jim's Pest Control came onto the market, I think it would have been like 2009, 2010. I always had I was actually doing building inspections and termite inspections.
Yep.
And I wanted to do something bigger and better. So I actually just bought a pest control franchise. And I came out to here at Moorbach, did a 3-day session, and really thought it's a perfect vehicle for me to do building inspections nationally around Australia.
Yep.
So I waited about 3 months. I had Jim's number saved from the whiteboard, and gave Jim a call, and I think in the morning, and then that afternoon I was in his office talking about starting the building inspection division.
Really?
So
that quick?
Yeah. When I actually rocked up to Jim's group head office, like I think I booked in a time of 4 o'clock or something to meet him. And I had to wait for him for about half an hour to finish his game of chess. He was playing a game of chess with one of the IT guys. So I thought, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, so that's how it all started. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, because obviously when people come to training, they're obviously stuck. I'm going to be a franchisee. But you said, no, they've got more potential because I can see what this is about.
Yeah.
And you had that idea, and you said, how did you decide to use this as the vehicle to do your expansion? Because it would have been pretty easy for you to go away and then go maybe start up on your own.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to use Jim's as your vehicle to do this?
It was a big decision, especially for building inspections, whether the brand would work in the context of people buying building inspections off a face and a brand that had, it was always that worry, is the mowing going to work in our favour, or is it going to work against us? It is a pro or a con.
Yeah.
However, I did, what sort of nailed it for me was we did a bit of market research around a couple of states in Australia, where we went to some auctions and we handed out some giveaways, some gifts. I can't remember, they weren't branded gifts, but we had the competitors for building inspectors in that particular state. I think Archicenter was one of the main ones at the time. And we had Jim's building inspections there. We hadn't started, by the way. And they, 85% of the time, they were ticking Jim's building inspections as one they would use or pick. Yeah. So I thought, okay, this is time to invest. And
that's really interesting that you actually did that market research. When we do these interviews, I haven't heard anyone say that to me yet, which is quite interesting. So obviously now you can go online and you can send out stuff to panels, but you actually went out to the auctions and you actually gave that out just to test it yourself in person. And that's, did that surprise you, that?
I knew the brand. There was something special there about the brand and building inspections. It's not so much about. So I think the competitors, people in building inspections or doing pre-purchase building inspections and asbestos inspections, kind of really like either go, damn, what a great idea, or they really hate it. Yeah. But the public, however, like through marketing and the perception of the brand and us behind them, I think they love it because they know if we do make a mistake or if there is a problem, they can call. They know they can call us back and we will fix the problem. The problem's not just going to go away. Whereas Paul's or Joe's building inspections, you can sort of have an argy-bargy with each other and it may not go anywhere. So having that big brand behind something so important when a couple's about to buy their first home, I couldn't. You can't grab another bigger brand in the service industry as a vehicle.
Yeah.
It was great, and pretty much the call center and the systems behind it is like Jim's put millions of dollars into that. It's very hard to build and very hard to, So that combined with our putting a lot of money into the development of the building inspection app that we use, online reports that we put up online for sale. That was a huge investment, but tying that into what Jim already had, it was a success. Yeah, and we grew to be like quite quickly to be the largest in Australia, like in our first 3 or 4 years.
I remember because 2011 was, I think, when you started it, and I actually started the company around about the same time.
Yep.
So I remember you guys starting then, and so much you can see how much work was being put in by yourself and other people behind the scenes with it. So did you do the app at the same time, or was that something that come later, or did you do it before launching?
We tried to finish the app. Anyone that's in app development or you kind of budget and plan for a time for it to start, but we did plan for the app to be ready before our first franchisee came on board.
Yeah.
I remember Paul Lewis is getting quite frustrated at one point, you know.
Yeah.
But because we'd promised the app, we ended up having a kind of a checklist, and we had a team back in our office actually doing the reports for them, you know, manually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yep.
it was a bit of a crazy time until I just kept bringing the app developer Gary and like, come on, mate, come on,
Get it done.
Get it done.
Yeah.
We eventually, you know, got it to the stage where it was right. But looking at the app now at how advanced and, you know, all the things it does, and looking just back at some old pictures or screenshots of the old app, it's just, yeah, we thought it was fantastic, by the way, when it first started. It was just so innovative and, you know, modern and great, and, you know, but looking back now, it was very archaic to what it is now, you know, so,
yeah. That's a great little bit of value add, but let's also talk about now, because as you said, 3 to 4 years you grew pretty quickly. Yeah. Why do you think that was? Was that because of the brand itself, or was it because of the systems you had in place, or why did you grow so quickly at a rapid rate?
I just think there was a need for a national brand, and builders getting off the tools, like just getting back down to earth with there's so many builders out there that want to get off the tools and have a system. Like they're sort of either thinking about retiring or, you know, or just getting into something else, because the building game is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Like I've been through it myself. You've got cash flow issues, and so just explaining like our jobs, you get paid up front for your jobs. You know, you've got 3 jobs for the day. You can process Visa cards in the morning before you do all your jobs, basically, because you've already got their payment. So that was a big sell to. But I think myself, I get told I'm a good salesman, but I really don't think I'm a salesman. But it's just like talking to you like this and explaining to a builder who's made an inquiry. We get a lot of inquiries, so that sort of attracted people. I suppose early days we did a lot of Seek advertising. So you got builders looking for a new avenue to go down. And also I had Sam and a couple other really good franchisors that just are good at selling. You know, part of being a franchisor, you've got to be able to be organised on your sales. It's a real skill. So I was lucky. I had good sales people on board, you know, that were in the building game and were able to talk to people.
Yeah. So scaling your business that quick, was there any issues or troubles you came across in growing that rapidly, or anything you can recall, any teething issues?
Suppose, leads are always hard with growth and putting on more franchisees. Leads are always
you got to scale it up in line with it.
Hard to get. You can eventually catch up with it. Like, say you're getting 15 leads per franchisee per month. When you quickly put on 3 more in that region, you can kind of almost go backwards until that extra marketing dollars that they're putting in sort of kicks into Facebook or paid search on Google or whatever you're doing. But that's when I think in our 3rd, 4th year I decided to have our own marketing company. So design and digital marketing specialists, you know, mainly focusing on paid search campaigns and things like that. So that was a really good thing to have in house. It never made a profit or anything, but it just kind of and a lot of the time I'd actually tip in my own money for it. Hopefully it's getting to a stage where it's sort of cost neutral, but it's so important having your own marketing, I think, or someone there.
I think it's a great point, because obviously a lot of our people use external agencies,
and
there's always a nightmare, right? You always hear issues, so it's really smart to have an internal people you can keep, and you can train them to up to what you want, and they know they're just working on you as a client as well. Whereas external agencies are obviously working on multiple clients, and their time might not be divided. So it's a really smart thing you did there in terms of that. So you think Did you originally use external?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Stuck with a few, I think 12, I went through three different ones over 3 years, you know. So,
Yeah, that tended to be just common thread.
yeah, but, you know, it's hard to, it's just nice to have someone focusing on your business and your all the time sort of thing. Yeah,
and they can understand about it.
yeah.
So at the moment now you're up to around, I think you said there are some other competitors who are around 30 to 40, but they never went any further. But you've obviously 140 nearly now.
Yeah.
Why do you think you had that? You could keep going and scaling up, and the other one sort of held back a bit.
Yeah, I think those the other franchise building inspection businesses in Australia and overseas, they always seem to go with the percentage of your profit type franchise setup, whereas gyms is a fixed fee each month. So guys really know what they're actually, and being able to, when you first start, you're taking as many leads as you can. So you're paying for those leads plus your management fee in the gyms group. And being able to explain to someone that their fees are actually less when they've been in for longer because they're not taking as many leads is hard to fathom, but it actually happens in real life. And we've got some really good, we've got 140 successful really good successful businesses out there that are paying less fees now than when they first started because they're not taking as many lead fees. So I don't know why the opposition's don't keep doing what you're doing, but that's fine, you know, like, yeah. Probably don't want to give away too many secrets there, but yeah.
Yeah, because that seems to be, you've been able to scale it really quickly, and that's obviously one of the reasons why, which has helped. But also now I want to touch on real quickly about hazardous material removal.
Yep.
You know, this is a newer venture you're doing. I think you're up to nearly around 20 franchise owners, which is great. There was a really funny article, I think it was a pop culture magazine, which had about, you know, gyms is now doing meth removal. So maybe do you want to talk a bit about hazardous material removal and what's that all about?
Yeah, the division it started out as gyms asbestos removal, which has been good, and there's quite most of the group are trained in asbestos. But over the last year or so, we've moved to hazardous material, which asbestos is still a good service. There's still plenty of around it in Australia, and those guys can earn good money removing asbestos, as long as they're all their PPEs in check and, you know, stick to our procedures and our manuals. It's very safe, you know, it's very safe for kids and like for the franchise owner, there's no real risk, you know, to your family. But getting into the science of mould and meth is kind of getting into that, you know, that lab sort of CSI sort of, you know, attracts that franchisee that really wants to know about water and a life source and those sorts of things in homes and commercial buildings is a service that's taken a while to develop. It's not something you can just sort of click your fingers and jump into. But we've got to the point now where we're working with a couple of insurance companies and our new franchisees that come in will be trained on mould and cleaning mess. So the two divisions work quite well together. The building inspectors every day sort of look at asbestos in houses, in domestic houses or commercial, and they'll refer the hazardous group the job, and also the building inspector will normally go back there and do the clearance certificate. So they work quite well in together. And also the building inspectors are looking at mould, and we're doing meth testing. So they're all getting sent off to a NATA accredited lab from the building inspectors, and if the results are positive, the client is more than happy to stay with gyms. Like, they want to keep with gyms, you know, hence kind of why we started the division. But getting feedback from the customers was always like, all right, you've done the building inspection for me, but you haven't, it's been great, but you haven't sort of helped me. You've sort of told me what's wrong, but you sort of haven't guided me to the next point. So now we can sort of move them into the next, you know, getting the mould cleaned or getting the asbestos removed. So it's worked really well with the building inspections.
Yeah. So let's maybe talk a bit more about the meth service. The reason why I mentioned this one, because this one was featured on a pop culture magazine, which pretty much, it was a viral article, it was shared everywhere. Yeah. So maybe you want to talk a bit about more actually what that service is and why people use it and why it's actually a popular service now. Yeah,
so meth is a big problem. It's rising in Australia as well, and there's other drug problems, and a lot of it's not so much meth labs at all. It's just meth users, and you'd be surprised the latest stats that are out in the blue collar, white collar sector, it always amazes me, but the highest meth users in the white collar
Right.
sector. So you've got a lot of people renting. It'd be a 3 or 4 year old new apartment type thing.
Yep.
Not necessarily a really old crappy house or apartment. You sort of got that modern feel. We're doing a meth test in a rental property. Results are coming up positive. So we'll either have to. So meth cleaning is quite a big process, and you'll have to either, depends how far the meth has gone into the plaster or into the walls
Yep.
or into the render. There's different percentages that the lab will tell us which stay in the Australian guidelines. So we'll either have to strip out the plaster and strip out insulation and strip out the whole place, which can be very costly.
Yeah.
Or if the meth is at a certain rate, we can clean it.
Okay.
So the cleaning, takes, you probably got a 3-day process with, 3 guys.
Really?
Wow. So you're cleaning every wall or different rooms, and a hygienist will actually tell us which rooms need cleaning, or the whole house, and they'll come back and certify that it's all been cleaned. And
Yeah.
so it's quite a big process.
Quite involved, yeah.
More in line with working with insurance companies is quite
Okay.
good, but also we get leads through the call centre for
Yep.
the work as well. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea how involved that was. So
Yeah.
is that for someone like who's got an investment property or whatever, and the tenants move out and they would get the check or something wrong with
Yeah.
it, and then they would do
Yeah.
the test, and then you guys would come in and do that sort of stuff so it can make it livable for the next one. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you've got a rental property and a family's moving into,
Yeah.
you've got small kids, it's kids are playing with toys on the ground and walls, and we know what kids like. I've got 3 of them. They could be licking the walls
Yeah.
at some point, So you never. It's an unsafe place,
Yeah.
for a kid that is moving into a property that has someone smoking meth or whatever, doing meth in the.
No, because it's something that people, I don't know if they would joke about it, but people probably not even aware, but it's a massive issue, as you said. And for anyone who owns a rental property or has any suspicions of it, as a service now, it seems like it must be an essential thing.
Mm.
Do you think are those leads increasing more, or is
they're
as they become more aware about that?
Yeah, awareness is increasing, and
Yeah.
it's just us as a group just aligning ourselves with the right people and the right trainers.
Yeah.
There's some good trainers at the moment. Where there's one called VA Science that all the insurance and the panel builders, unless you're trained by them, you won't be able to get on their panel or
Yep.
do work for them. So
Okay.
it's high end training. It's not. There's other courses all around the place, but these people just do it properly. It's a little bit more expensive, but you pay for what you get.
Yeah.
So it's good.
That's cool. So I want to take now a side step back to building inspections for a second. From the outside looking in from national, building inspections has always been known as a really professionally run, a lot of good systems and really good culture in place with your team. So it's a very general question, but how did you go about building that culture? Because it seems to be, it's very tight-knit, and a lot of your guys, franchisors, are really involved, and they love to present ideas all the time, and they interact obviously with people here. So how did you go about building that culture?
Yeah, I think probably like yourself, got a football Aussie rules background. Didn't play at the highest level, but at one point I was, striving to be the best I could in. And had some good mentors and coaches on the way. And I suppose it really gets back to the team environment, and you're only as good as the team around you. So we did early days, and we still use the leading teams kind of scenario.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just a pyramid of, we talk to each other on this level, and then sometimes we have to go a bit deeper and have those critical chats or conversations, and it all gets back to how we're perceived out in the public. So when you're wearing our building inspections brand, it's really important to me and Suzanne, how you're perceived out in the public and how you operate, and so just using the old leading teams, structure. We and every building inspector, when you start our week's training, after you've done your 3 days at Moorabark, and you come to our head office in Melbourne, that's the first session we do. I think it goes for a couple of hours. So
Oh,
we
really?
talk about, we do a leading teams program.
Wow.
Yeah, so that sort of kicks it off. So I think that helps. Yeah.
That's very interesting saying that from the start when they're coming to you guys, you're doing that culture building exercise first. It's nothing really technical or whatever. It's that culture building to set the precedent and go through.
No, I mean, the guys, the building inspectors that come in, they already know how to build, so we're not teaching them what a frame is or an underpilling proper, or how to build at all.
Yeah.
They already assume they know that, and they do. A lot of it is about they need business help and business, training, sort of business coaching, and it starts with that, that culture of just looking after each other, and just, we're all in this together, and that team environment is really important to me,
Yeah, that's really interesting you said that. And I reckon that's a great one to use that sports sort of analogy. And that leading team thing, I didn't know that, so that's really cool. And hopefully anyone listening or watching that, if you're other divisional or in business, that's probably a good model to try out if you like that sort of sports culture, I guess. And is that something you regularly do on the basic? Like, obviously you do it as training, but is that something you keep? How do you keep doing that throughout the life cycle of a franchisee or a franchisee?
Yeah, could probably, I suppose any conferences, we'll always pick up on. We kind of made the values and the core values of the culture with the group. I think we started at one conference in 2014. So, the group came up with we look after each other. We've got a couple more, how we're perceived out in the public, what we want to look like, we're all together, that sort of thing. The group came up with that.
Yep.
So, I think back at conferences, we always reiterate what we're here for and what we stand for, and that is important. It can sometimes you get the odd guy step out of line, but what it's all about is your fellow franchisee bringing you back into line.
Yeah. Not
so much always from me or your franchisor. It's about your teammate sort of pulling you into line. So at conference it gets sort of refreshed, and we send out weekly or 2 weekly, snapshot things, and we always have the core values front and centre, at the front of that.
And you obviously have really regular meetings as well with your resource conductor, and they obviously pass that down. So
Yeah.
Is it every 6 weeks, or how regularly?
Yeah, 6 weekly meetings. Yeah. And they're great 6 weekly meetings. It's what I say an individual really misses out on that team environment. Working for yourself, you kind of got your blinkers on, and you're not looking at. It's kind of like when you're in a 6 weekly meeting, you've got the knowledge of 10 or 20 other building inspectors that they're not your competitors, they're on the same side, but you're sharing the knowledge is the key. Yeah, sharing the knowledge and sharing the hard times and the good times, so the successes and the things that you might do wrong. That's part of business, but you got teammates there.
That's good to hear. So in your time as a divisional, what's one success story, or is there one story of someone coming on that stands out to you in your mind?
One good one is just the fact that people will come up to myself or Suzanne at a conference and say, like for the last 15, 20, or 10 years, haven't been to a school concert, haven't been to I've missed out on all the calisthenics with my kids, haven't been to this, that and the other, and now we're earning more money, and our hours have halved, so I'm able to schedule myself and go to these really important family gigs. So I've got tingles now, but that sort of thing is great, I didn't know I was going to be able to achieve those sort of things, but that in itself is just so rewarding, It's not a money gain thing. It's just like you've changed someone's life, because I know how tough it is on the building site, especially in winter time in Melbourne. In Queensland or Perth or where it's just tough, and cash flow is tough. So be able to, those guys, unless they're working, they don't feel like I think the guys that come on board, they were just jogging up and down on the same spot, but they're not really going anywhere. But so when they come on board with us, they've actually got a plan and a path to, and and their life is so important, you know, about going to your kids' concerts or, you know, even the assemblies during the day or whatever. They can schedule their work around however they like. So
So well, let's maybe talk about what is the actual typical day for building inspection then? How many reports can they get through a day, or what's involved in the actual process? So when someone engages Jim's building inspections, what actually happens?
Yeah, so you'll get a lead either from the call centre or from your networking group, or you'll take the lead and you'll call the customer back straight away. We're not working on price. You know, we're definitely not the cheapest building inspector around, but the quality and the value of what you get with our reporting and our back end is huge. Yeah, so always there's a big competitor advantage there. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but they can work it out. So we'll just talk to the customer and tell them what we do, and we'll tell them the whole process. That we'll call the agent. We'll be looking for structural defects, safety hazards, major defects, and we're basically checking it out like as if we were going to, if our daughter or our son was going to buy a house. We just really want to look after the customer and make sure. The customers really want to know if there is something wrong with the place, like how much is it going to cost to fix it. We probably won't give them a written, you know, price for it. We can refer someone for that, but we've got a bit of an idea on price or how big the issue is. But we'll give them a really detailed report with photos. So we'll meet the agent there. It'll take us an hour and a half to do the inspection. The inspection part is pretty fine. Like, we're happy if the client comes on the site with us, as long as they don't sort of follow us around while we're doing the inspection. Otherwise we may miss stuff. But we're happy to, if they're on the site, to talk to them about some issues we've got. It's actually better. I prefer it. But if they're not on site, we'll give them a call while we're on site and just go through any issues we may have found. We'll send out the report to them, and then we'll follow them up in a couple of weeks' time to see if they were successful buying the house. And if not, if they weren't successful, we'll probably give them a discount, or we will give them a discount for their next property if they're happy with our service. So a guy can do probably 3 of them comfortably in a day. He can push 4. And they're getting paid quite well for each job.
I can imagine, yeah. That's a really good little experience. I didn't know about that. That obviously you give them a discount if they don't go ahead based on the report. You give them a discount for the next one, and you're actually calling them up as well if you find something during it, which is pretty. We'll finish the actual inspection, and then we'll start our report and just give them a call and go through any issues we've got, and then we'll send out the report to them. Probably give them a follow-up call. They're happy. A lot of the time, the clients call back and they'll just ask, once they're reading the report, I'm a bit confused on this, and we'll just explain it to them. So, and most of your guys are ex-builders, aren't they? Most of them. Cool. So now I want to take a bit of another side turn here, and people won't realise that Paul's actually an inventor. You've got a patent to your name, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about this. We were having a chat before. It's called the Green Zone Termite Insect Barrier. And you are the worldwide patent holder on that one. So let's talk about this, because this is quite interesting, because we do have another divisional franchisor, Hayder, who's same from cleaning, who obviously has developed his own product. He didn't invent. I don't know if he invented it, but he made the product and took it, had the idea, and took it to a product level. And you've done the same thing. You've had this idea. Unless I've actually implemented your idea, and now you've got this product which is available. So can you just talk us all through that?
I being in the when I got in the termite barrier world years ago, I think I was drilling through some exposed aggregate one day. It was if the builder forgets to do a spray or do a termite treatment, and they pour all that concrete around the building, you've got to drill holes through the concrete, and nice exposed aggregate. So this is a big, huge place, and I was drilling holes and you've got to charge this guy. It was just terrible. I hated drilling through. Everyone hates it, but to get the treatment done, you've got to drill through these concrete holes every 200 mil or so. And this one day I was just looking at this expansion joint foam up against the concrete and the building, and it just sort of came to me sort of halfway through the day, after about 1,000 holes.
Yeah.
That I've got to. Surely one of the big companies have put in the expansion joint foam, 10 mil by 100 mil expansion joint foam, a chemical, or someone's trialled it or something. So anyway, after that day I went home, Suzanne, and Suzanne's got the all the degrees in the brain, so she sort of guided me into the provisional patent, sector, and we eventually had a provisional patent for it. So yeah, it's just expansion joint foam. It's all used all around the world for expansion and contraction of concrete to stop cracking and movement. Big in America, big in Europe, and huge in Australia as well. So I was able to just put a chemical called bifenthrin into the melting point before extrusion in a manufacturing sense, and away we went. So it's been about 9 years now in development. We've been on the market for 15 months. So
9 years in development.
Yeah, 9 years.
Wow.
And quite a bit of time and money spent on the product.
Yeah.
But it's great to see it. I've got a couple of directors now that mortgage their house, and they're partners with me, and they're great. So and we've got a CEO and a couple of sales guys, and we've got an office now in Brisbane and Melbourne. So we just sell through the distributors, and just moved into Singapore, and just doing some trial and testing in the US.
Really?
So
wow.
Yeah, time's ticking out for the worldwide patent, so we've got to get our bums over there. So the product it's good. It's got a good purpose. But pretty happy with how it's going at the moment. Now we're still a baby in the industry, but you can have the best product in the world, but you've got to market it and get it out there. So having a bit of marketing background from the gyms group is quite handy too. Yeah.
So taking 9 years to develop a product, how did you stay motivated during that process? 'Cause a lot of people have great ideas, and they never got an idea, then they look into it and go, oh, that's way too hard, or someone else get discouraged. So how did you actually just keep going for that 9 years, and what setbacks did you have during it?
It's a really good point you make. I think there was at least 3 or 4 times there, over the journey where it's just, this is just too hard. We set up trials in Darwin, like field trials, and in the south of the Tropic of Capricorn, like in New South Wales, and one of the trials flooded. Got to get the entomologist to go back there and reset up. So this is all about getting a label for the APVMA coat of arms label. So anything with a chemical in it, you've got to. It's called the APVMA. Where, drugs or veterinary or pesticides have to go through this rigorous process of efficacy and toxology, and you just got to really cross your I's and dot your T's, and entomologists charge exorbitant amounts of money, but so some of those processes, and then actually putting an application in. So you've done all this trial and testing, and the government haven't even heard of you yet, until you put your application in. So it's just hard. But I think just staying motivated is. I think Suzanne was great for that, and getting guys like Sam as partner, and Brett and other guys on board, just to say, come on, So getting back to the team around you, I suppose. You're only as good as a team around you.
Yeah.
So it's been good, but our sales are going quite well in the first 15 months. We haven't cracked any records yet, but we're
starting to get traction.
Yeah. So we're still a baby, but it's nice now. It's still a lot of hard work to do. I kept saying to the guys, like, once we're on the market, now this is where the hard work really starts. So,
So how do you manage your time then now? Because obviously you've got so many things pulling you left, right, and centre. You've got obviously great support from Suzanne, who's heavily involved, and you've had guys like Sam in that, and your team as well. So what's your time management now? Like, what's the average day for you?
The average day, I have had troubles managing that, in the past. So I actually went out and got a business coach just in the last couple of years, which has been good, and it's just more structured time during the day. Monday meetings are important with all the businesses, there's about 6 or 7 different things going on. So yeah, time management's pretty key. I think just it's not that difficult actually. You know, like probably like Jim, you see his phone doesn't ring. It rings a lot, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's not overwhelmingly. It's kind of like the same with me. As long as you're staying proactive and staying on top of the game, you know, staying ahead of the game. But the Monday meetings is crucial. Like I need to just nail down every bit of that and have a 30 and 60 and 90 day plan for our KPIs for every business.
Yep.
So using a Vern Harnish book called Scaling Up has been good, and my coach is right onto that as well. And an Infusion software program that we've got, just keeping up the marketing tasks for that. So yeah, just not too bad, just more structured, I suppose, and instead of running around like with a chook like my head cut off sort of thing, like it was at one point. So
yeah, well, it's quite interesting you said that because you're obviously very successful before you even got the business coach. So it's good to hear that you had that sort of, you were able to step back and say, I probably need a bit of help here, which is great. Whereas a lot of people might go, oh, what are you? I'm already very successful, I don't need to do it. So
yeah,
are you open? Like a lot of the times I've been doing these interviews, they're really successful people, but they all say the same thing. They're learning and they take advice from everyone and they're able to step back and look outside themselves. There's no real ego involved at all. Do you find yourself the same? We're always learning from other people and you've just put your ego aside and you can just take advice from anyone? And
yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. It's I think also, yeah, just learning all the time, and also just for me getting out on the road every now and then, at least once a month.
Okay.
Crawling around a house, putting the overalls on and getting out with the boys. And
oh, you still do some jobs, do you?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah, just keeps me grounded and keeps me
right.
You sweat it out a little bit, and
yeah.
the boys enjoy it, and it just keeps me a bit more sane. And yeah, no, absolutely enjoy it. I think getting back to the grassroots stuff is vital. You know, it's important that you're not always just, you know, sitting behind the desk or whatever.
Yeah.
I actually don't have a desk. Yeah, I just sort of float around. I have an iPad and checking emails all the time, but I'm constantly sort of moving around. My new GM, Larry, hates it. Yeah, so I've got a new GM. He's really good, Larry. He's trying to like put me in a desk somewhere. So I'm working on it.
That's great to hear that, because that's the first approach I've heard from I'm sure other Zors do it, but you actually, every month you actively go out with franchisees and actually just go and do inspections with them and stuff like that still.
Yeah.
And do you find you get much learnings about it then from doing those jobs to maybe change into the business at all, or is it just something to just keep you in touch with what's going on, your finger on the pulse?
Yeah, just finger on the pulse, and it's just, I think it's just for me personally, the sweat out and just getting back to the team camaraderie type of thing. Yeah.
I see you sort of getting out there, you know, you're not in the office as you said, it sort of puts them on there.
Yeah.
So with that green zone stuff, so going back, so if someone wants to find out more about the barrier and about the invention itself, what can they punch into Google? Is it just green zone, or what do they type in?
Green zone barrier.
Yep.
.com.au or .com or green zone termite into Google.
Yeah, and you're trying to get them, as we were saying before, you're trying to really hit that America. You just got your foot into America now. So how's that all going? Getting with the American market?
Pretty difficult. It's a vigorous process again, like Australia. But we're just hitting in there. The product has got a label for ants and cockroaches.
Okay.
And termites. So we're more pushing the product for the ants, the insect part of it, which is not as hard a process than termites in the US. So using it in high-rise buildings in hot climates. So it's actually reducing the amount of pest control spray that you would have to do in a building. So if you're building with green zone, because the product in effect is actually already being used as a backing rod for caulking. So they'll put it as a backing rod and then put silicone or caulking around doors and commercial windows. So putting green zone in during a high-rise building would reduce the emissions or amount of chemical sprays you'd have to use over the year.
So it reduces cost that way on the back end with that stuff. Okay, that's quite interesting. So if anyone wants to find out about that, just punch in green zone into Google and it should come up the site.
Normally the movie comes up. Green
Zone,
Zone,
okay, right, there is too.
Put green zone termite or
green zone termite, barrier, or green zone barrier, and punch that in. It's quite interesting actually. So I was learning a bit. So I'm actually asking that, but I'm learning myself, so it's really cool. So we'll just end on with a couple of more generic questions now, just regarding business owners and franchisees and stuff like that. So in your opinion, why do franchisees succeed in the gym system or just in general?
Yeah, I find it's really evident to me in the building inspections. The guys from day one that are organised and have got, starts with the 3 days here, and we do a pre-planning workshop and an onboarding process.
Okay.
I can tell the guys that are listening and sort of really and reading our manuals and reading our procedures and not trying to reinvent the wheel. So they're sticking to our, and they're trusting, and they're sticking to our processes and our procedures, everything with 10-point plans, the way we go about doing inspections, you know, all our trade secrets are in our manual. It's not that hard. It's not anything you probably haven't heard before, but the way we do it is vital. And you'll see guys, like in their first 3 months, sort of get to that, you know, 2 inspections a day, 3 inspections a day quite quickly. Whereas the guys that, no, I know better. I will do all the read your manual but I'm going to do it this way. We sort of have to drag them in, and it'll take them longer to get to that 3 a day kind of point.
Yeah.
We'll have to drag them in and sit them down again, and all they need to do is follow the procedures and the manuals and the system. Everything to do with combining with the call centre here at the Gyms Group and everything, you know, it's quite an easy process if you stick to the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it, and you'll have success and you'll be earning quite good dollars.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So that's a common theme. I ask that question a lot to the other divisionals and regionals, and it's exactly the same thing what you said, which is quite encouraging, obviously. But I just want to touch on it real quickly. Suzanne's obviously was still massively involved, but really developed those manuals I want to talk about because they're really, really comprehensive. Yeah. And you've obviously invested a lot of money and time. And how involved, like obviously Suzanne was really important with that. So how important has been Suzanne into your, for anyone who doesn't know, Suzanne Commerford and Paul's wife. So
my brilliant wife. That's what she saved her number in my phone as.
Brilliant wife.
Your brilliant wife.
Yeah. So how much time in the early days did you do it? Because obviously back in 2011 you've got that, but there was so much work before that with your manuals. Plus you had this green zone, I think was probably in the early days as well.
Yeah.
So how important was she into this whole process?
Vital. Yeah. She's backed off a little bit now, but there's been some in our marketing team changes, so she's jumped in there again, which has been great. So, but yeah, absolutely crucial. Yeah, having a partner. My advice is get a. You know, partnerships are okay. You know, preferably not your wife. It's not ideal, but you know, it's been tough, but you know, things are going okay.
I was going to say, well, how do you manage that? Because obviously people would be saying you work with your wife, and that's probably
crazy.
I
think
right?
Having a plan that we're going to be doing this, it's all about the plan and procedure. Like we're always asking people for cash flows and business plans. We have to have a plan ourselves. And she went out and started her own styling business, staging. You know. So that was good because she was doing that and
be more separate.
Yeah, we kind of are in the same office, but a lot of days we don't sort of see each other. So having a plan that you're only going to be doing it for a certain amount of time is vital. I think you need to go, okay, we're going to tough it out because it's going to work out financially better if we both do this around this 2-year period or 3-year period, and then really stick to the plan, I think, and then exit or go and do separate things, in your work or life business.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, very smart, because obviously if you said it to anyone saying, oh, I don't do a business with my wife, it'd be the same thing. Oh, wow, how would you go about that? But that's quite interesting. You had that plan where you said, I'll put in the 2 to 3 years of the grind together, and then it will work out. We're backing ourselves to work out. Then after that, we can maybe sort of ease away a bit. So that's quite interesting. So going back to the franchisees and why they we sort of touched on it a bit, but why do you think business owners or franchisees tend to fail and not do so well? What's one of the common things that you've seen?
It's really evident. It's not, not being proactive. I find it, it doesn't happen much in building inspections. It's been the odd one.
Yeah, you guys have a really low, for anyone watching or listening, very low a turnover rate from what obviously we can tell, which is why your growth's been so good, because obviously you guys, you bring them on, but they stay for a long, long time.
Yeah. I think the onboarding process, I think we do a certain amount of show them what it's about and we sell at the start.
Yeah.
But they kind of pick themselves, really. Like if they're not jumping through hoops for us, like when we're getting back to them, they just drop off and it wasn't meant to be kind of thing, you know. So
that's quite interesting.
The odd time that we have put on guys that we might have let slip jump through those hoops at the start, your heart's got to be in it, you know. And you got to like the brand, you got to like the systems, and you got to be 100% on board when you start, you know. If you're only 85 or 90%, and you've signed and you've paid money and you've signed a contract and you think it's all just going to happen and you're trying to buy a job, that's where it really falls down and fails, you know.
That's quite an interesting statement you said then, buying a job. It's definitely not buying a job. People, and that's a common thing we sort of see sometimes, people, you know, buy a job, but as you said, it's a business. You're buying a business with this support, but you need to be proactive.
Yeah.
Because I think, as what you said, I don't know how, obviously with leads and stuff, but obviously you said around average 15 a month, was it? Or what's the average leads for you guys?
It'd be, some regions are less, but a lot of the metro, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, maybe Perth, we probably hover around 15 a month.
And you guys, you teach them to be a bit more, to be proactive and get out there, obviously, for their own leads and create referrals and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, you've got this great brand and you've got this great car signage and we're neat and tidy, and presenting yourself. That's all about getting on the first day. After the first day, on the Thursday of the first week course, we actually do a whole day on you presenting yourself out in the marketplace.
Okay.
And we're taking live leads, and it's a whole day on marketing sort of thing. So I'd love to be able to do more on that, but a full day is probably, it's good. But they need to continue on from that full day, create their own marketing specific plan, have a laminated sheet for their elevator pitch and all the things that, you know, all the little 1%ers are key. You know, it's all. I was speaking to an opposite guy that's, you know, one of the competitors yesterday, having lunch, and I could just see some of the key vital things that we follow up and do, you know, as part of our system, is where they were just really lacking, you know.
Yeah.
And he was there, sort of, you know, the market was a little bit down at the moment. We're going pretty steady, you know. We're not increasing our leads in the last couple of months, but we're going okay.
Yeah.
So I don't mind talking to the opposition, you know, about stuff. It's fine, but so does that answer your question?
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I was going to say, we'll probably end it soon now, because obviously I've kept you here for long enough. But I just want to ask you now, probably a bit more, what's your next goals in the next 5 years? You obviously got a lot on, and it's amazing to actually hear, because I knew you did do the green zone stuff, but I didn't know how involved it was. I didn't know it was prior to you actually even starting Jim's Building Inspections. So you've been juggling all these three things. So what's your plan? Obviously you do a lot of plans, which is great. So what's your 5 year, maybe your longer term vision, or what have you got goals set?
We'll build the building inspections division up to sort of 300.
300? Wow.
Franchisees, and we'll that might be over the next 5 or 7 years. Someone might step up within the group and maybe want to take over the business, one of the franchisors or a lot of the franchisees are interested in being franchisors.
Yeah.
So that's great to see within the group as well. You know, I really like that. But I may exit building inspections. It depends. But I do have a 7 year sort of plan from now on. And it'll be a great business for someone to walk into. You know, a lot of systems and processes are pretty much, you know, running themselves. And with Green Zone, I'd probably want to just work in a Green Zone and concentrate on that in the long term.
That's your real passion, is it, at the Green Zone?
It's a passion of mine. yeah, I love being involved with that industry. It's a bit of a different industry, like manufacturing
I can imagine, yeah.
and a product sort of thing. Yeah, but who knows? I may stay in building inspections the next 20 years. I don't know. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. So yeah, you got to enjoy your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, look, watch this space. So I was going to say, now, if people want to find out more about you, obviously you've got multiple businesses. So we've talked about one before, which is Green Zone. They can punch in probably Green Zone Termite or Green Zone Barrier into Google and they'll come up. And where about the other ones? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I've got a pest control business, but we have Jim's Pest Control, which you can just call 131 546. Yeah, the other business, I've got a Bowen training group, Bowen marketing group, which is doing a bit of external things.
Oh, great.
We do some for other divisions in
Cool.
Jim's group as well. Suzanne has a staging business, but I'm not really involved with that.
Yeah.
Can't remember the other ones.
There's heaps of things. You've got Jim's Building Inspections, obviously. So you've got Jim's Hazardous Material Removal.
Yeah.
Got the Bowen. Does the Bowen Group have a site?
It hasn't got the site's not live for the training.
Okay.
It's an RTO, like a registered
Okay,
training
right.
organisation.
Yep.
But yeah, that's that'll help a lot of it, because I think we spent something like 380,000 last year in training external.
Really?
External providers.
Wow.
So
You thought start one up?
yeah, and there's probably a bit of stuff we can do with the Jim's group as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, okay.
So you got a lot on.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you punch them all into, we'll put some links in all the stuff and you can find Paul and about all his businesses. I think there's probably 6 or more there at least. And thanks for doing this, Paul. It was really insightful. I learned a lot actually. So
no worries at all.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of people get stuff out of this. And if there's any questions or comments you've got for Paul, please leave them in the comments and we can filter them through. And obviously punch him all their great businesses online. And thanks for doing this again. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you, Joel.